Good afternoon, folks. It's been an interesting day. Um, this morning was Diane's eye doctor's appointment, and we had to leave the house at like 9 o'clock, or a little bit before 9 o'clock, to drive 55 miles an hour away, 55 miles away from home for Diane's eyes, to go to a specialist, basically. And we left at like 8:50, 8:55. But between traffic and one thing or another, I thought we were going to be a little late because we have until at least her appointment was supposed to be 9:45, but that would give us a 15-minute leeway. So technically, we didn't have to get there until 10. But yeah, between the factor of no caffeine and just wanting to get there and back as quickly as possible, um, I broke the speed limit a number of times. Um, but that's the good part of the day. Or is it? Because it depends on how your brain looks at things. Well, let's just say we got home, stopped and got ourselves a treat at Dunkin' Donuts. They've got something called sous vide egg bites, and they made them in what looks like a donut mold, a miniature donut mold. So these little sous vide egg whites or bites, were like small little donuts with the egg and then the bacon and cheese, and then the other one that we got to try was egg whites with some kind of cheese and spinach. I'm not a big fan of spinach. I really am not. But that little sous vide egg bite with the spinach was very interesting. So we had that for well, actually, we had the donuts for a treat because now that I've got my glucose, my blood draw or blood test done, yeah, I need to start cutting out carbs and cholesterol, anything that could rise my triglycerides or my cholesterol level. So it's like, oh yay, I guess I gotta start learning how to make stuff out of the diabetic cookbook, which I'm actually kind of curious about. But then after Jane and I got it to the house and started to get settled down and basically cooled off because it's it's hot outside. But mom came in, came over, knocked on our door, and once we let her in, after I got my pajama shorts on, that's how hot I am. I'm wearing shorts. That's not my norm. Mom told us about a card that she got. No return address, postmarked Jonestown, PA. As soon as I saw the envelope and noticed it was stamped, I was like, "Oh, great!" And the funny thing was, the outside was like, being all polite and kind and whatnot, and flowers and little stickers of that kind. And well, I opened it up and I started reading it. Mom had already read it and started writing a letter of her own. And at first, it was like all nicey nice about mom, apologizing for a cat and blah blah blah. Then she went in and started talking nasty about Jerry and me. And then the one thing that got my heckles, if you don't know what a heckle is, I'll explain it to you in a moment. Got my heckles in a flare because she started mentioning my father and how he would take it and how disappointed he would be in that I became lazy and blah blah blah. And I just kind of went, no. Talk about me, yeah. Say bad things about my wife or my mom, no. No. But mom wrote, well, she typed it up because she knows we can't read her writing. But she typed up a nice little letter. And she asked Jerry to read it, but because Jerry had her eyes dilated and whatnot, and she couldn't really see straight, and she can't really see straight in the first place. She has to like read look at things out of her peripheral vision. So Jerry handed it to me and asked me to read it for my mom. And I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it exactly the way she typed it. I'm not going to add any of my own personal opinions until after I get done reading this. But she goes to write it, and it says, "Dear Madam, I can only presume you are a woman, since once again you declined to sign your greeting card. The stickers on the outside of your card seemed to indicate you wanted to be friends. However, I believe the inside does reveal the real you. As far as flowers go, I'd have to classify you as a dandelion, a weed in my garden, something to be rooted out and disposed of." These are my mom's words. My friends don't remain anonymous until they decide to pop up unwelcome to tell me how horrid they think my life is. My friends and I share a mutual bond, which I do wonder if you know anything about. I doubt you have many friends. Excuse me, let me reread that little sentence because I missed out this little part. I doubt you may have, quote, if any, unquote, friends. Thus, you need to introduce yourself in someone else's life. The card, the card appeared to have been purchased in a Christian store, a place a place it would appear you only frequent to shore up your ego. Your actions and the words you wrote on the card make it quite apparent. Since you appear to like to quote scripture, I might suggest you read Matthew 7:1-5. I believe Christ's words to the hypocrites of his day apply to you and others like your ilk. Today, you might pass these words along to fellows of other YouTube channels which I'm sure you frequent. About the only thing you have correct in the entire entire missive is my name and address and the fact that my cat died. The rest is so full of misconceptions and filth as to be worth nothing more than a match. However, I do thank you for the sample of your handwriting. In parentheses, nice to know that you are that far along in your education. That's in parentheses, I'm sorry. It may be of interest to the authorities. I seriously doubt you're one to listen to advice, but since you have a pension to tell me about my life, let me return the favor. You would do well to save the money you've wasted on cards and postage and use it to have a session or two with your local psychiatrist. Tell her all about your need to interfere with others' lives to do your best to ensure they live up to your expectations. Don't forget to mention that your friends, quotes, on YouTube and how you come by your beliefs. I am sure that talking it out with a sane person will help you immensely. In closing, I can only pray for God's mercy for you, that you will come to your senses soon and realize the damage you are doing to yourself, your friend. Then it says down here, P.S. I also know my friends by name and how to contact them whenever I want. Yeah, that was from my mother. We didn't coax her; she did it all on her own. Because I am about 99.9% that if I was doing the coaxing or wrote that letter, there would be several F-bombs throughout it. But no. Nope. I'm just kind of shocked, surprised, and proud of my mother to finally write words to basically tell this person off. I kind of wished that she would have taken the time or read it herself. But she does not like being in front of a camera, whether it's video or not. I think I know this particular Matthew verse, but I wanted to read it for the cheap seats. Basically what I mean by that is people who don't want to pick up their Bible and read it themselves, or just don't read a Bible, which I feel sorry for them then. And something tells me I have it. No, I do not have it highlighted. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I am surprised at myself. But I think this is highlightable. I think it's one of those like... yes, it's within the judging others. And it is literally the whole first part of judging others. Let me highlight it, because I bet you if I highlight it, I'll be able to see it a little bit better. And I'm surprised I don't have, I probably have it written down somewhere, but I'm just surprised I don't have it highlighted. Because it is one of my favorite passages from the Bible, especially when it comes to judgmenting or being judgmental. Mailman, I know you're kind of new on the verbal part. You say you've been watching me since the beginning but did not become a subscriber, which is fine. You will probably know many other passages that would equal that of Matthew 1 through 5. And if you decide to put your own Bible quotes and whatnot on here on this particular subject, I would love to see them. I would love to read them. But anyhow, Matthew in the NIV. Yeah, this is an NIV. It says here, see if I can do this with these glasses. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be used to you. Or measured to you, excuse me. Then it goes on to say, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your eye? How can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your eye? For hypocrite, you hypocrite, first take the plank out of your eye and turn, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck of dust, remove the speck from your brother's eye. And then I'm going to read the very last part, the very last verse, which is number 6. And it says, do not give dogs what is sacred. Wait a minute, what? Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. So that's different than what my wife read from the internet. So maybe mine's not totally a NIV. But the point is, you who judge will be judged by the same measure you judge others. That includes me. I'm no saint, and I have judged others in the past. But you know what? I've never judged a person for their lifestyle, their creed, their culture, their background, their skin tone, any of that. I've made judgments over one or two people for things that, yeah, to me it looked a certain way, but maybe it's not. Maybe there's a rhyme or reason for the way things look. Same for my home. This person obviously thinks I'm lazy and my wife's a pig. That's because of observation. You don't know us. You can't make those judgment calls. You know why you can't make those judgment calls? One, the Bible tells us, no, we're not supposed to judge each other. Two, you can't really judge me or Jared just because of the look of our space, the cover of the book. You have to be able to read the book before you can make a decision on if the book is a good book or not. But even then, you're judging. You're judging for appearances, for surface facades. You're not judging us for what's inside, because you don't know what's inside our hearts and our minds. He does. So how do you judge a person just because of what you think? Because as the good book says, you judge me and you're going to be judged by the same measure. That in fact of how can you judge me when you've got a plank in your eye and I've only have a speck of sawdust? You can't do anything to help me until you remove your own visual acuity, the plank that's in your eye, the granted the author and maybe even Jesus used a lot of parables and parodies and comparisons, but he's right. How can we judge somebody when we've got a plank in our eye? Nobody here on the face of the planet is perfect. No matter what you think about yourself, you're not perfect. No matter what I think about myself, I'm not perfect. And I know it. And you know what? I have no problems confessing up to my shortcomings. But you know what? I don't have to explain nothing to you. I have no reason or purpose for explaining my shortcomings up to you, because most of the time, people who want to be judgmental will take that information, turn it around, twist it up, spin it into something that they want to spin it into, and then spew it out like it's a pile of bile that you can't handle anymore. But it's your own bile. It's one of the reasons why I'm not judgmental. I don't judge Diane. I don't judge the bakery group. I don't judge anybody that I've read or listened to or been a part of their group for a short period of time. I don't judge them. But what irritates me is they want to turn around and judge us. And hence the Bible verse, how can you deal with your brother's speck in his eye when you've got a plank in yours? Jerry Ann and I do not have to explain diddly squat to nobody. If for whatever reason we want to explain certain things, it's because we want you to understand what's going on and where we're coming from. But that does not give you the right to take our words and spin it into something that it's not, or to look at our videos and go, oh, yeah, they're unkept because my hair is a wreck every day because it doesn't want to stay where I put it unless I use like hair gel or something like that, which makes my hair even worse in the clean factor than what it really is. You think just because I'm not wearing a suit and tie, or I'm not dressed up fancy, that my house is a wreck and I'm just lazy? No. I've got so much on my plate to deal with that's more important than trying to keep my house to your level of cleanliness. But the thing is, how many of you have the courage or the bravado to put yourself on camera all natural? And I don't mean in your birthday suit. I mean, you wake up out of bed, you comb your hair back, and you sit down in front of a camera, do a video about the day the day before, or what your plans are for the day, and then go. How many of you are going to set up a room, make it spick and span, nothing in that room except for your light table for your taking pictures of your craft items, and a chair to sit in with a blank wall, or no cabinets, or cabinets that have stuff in it but nobody touches them. You go in there once in a blue moon to dust it so it looks nice and pretty for the folks on the other end of the camera. That's faking it. To me, that's not being real. My wife doesn't wear makeup. 2 reasons why. One, Jay-Ann and I cannot wear cologne or anything that smells pretty because my mom is highly allergic to perfumes. I have to literally go out and look for deodorants that do not have any strong smells. I can't even put on Axe body spray anymore, which I used to do quite often just because of the factor, I wanted to smell good for people who come around me. My wife especially. I can't do that no more because we live with mom. I mean, unless you're going to have the gall, the bravery, whatever you want to call it, the strength to put yourself on camera, no matter what your environment looks like, no matter what you look like, without having to put on makeup or make your background look all pretty and whatnot, so you don't see empty, partially full box, or stuff sitting here waiting to be itemized or categorized and put in the backpacks that we have for camping. You think we have a lot of stuff? Well, no, we don't. The only reason why it looks like a lot of stuff is just because of the way it's sitting in my background. I'm pretty sure if I pulled everything out and looked at it, I can either put it in my backpacks or strap it to the backpacks. Because the one backpack I have, in fact, I think Jane got one similar to mine, has what it's called a mule system. We got a small toolbox for, car tools. This is a nice heavy-duty military-style backpack. Now, if I were to puff it out, you would see that I can put something up here after the backpack is full. There's plenty of slack here. Clamp it up to here, and it would hold it here. There's little loops here for, what they call a mule system accessories. And basically what they are is they're various size pouches that you can hook into these loops. I can hook up here a medical bag with, emergency, medical supplies. I can hook down here on this area various components. I can, they even got it on the side, so I can hook items on the side, and holes here to put like a rod or some kind of like walking stick or something I might need with me, and then say with the front, it's got like the little loop and it's got areas to put various components. So I can practically strap anything and everything I need for backpacking or camping onto both of the backpacks because they're designed for that. I don't think I have that much. And if we consolidate it in such a way, like, I don't know why I'm explaining this to you. I really don't. But, my point is I like explaining things. My wife likes to explain things. We like to say things or explain things or talk about things in hopes not to just pass on some basic information or ideas. Or I've got a couple of people who view my channel who are very interested in the Norsemen, and that's one of the reasons why I've been doing the Norsemen a lot lately. Their excitement about the Norsemen, and they're making the decision to purchase books like I have to either read it along with me or their own interest their own interest in the Nordic people. In fact, this one person I'm talking about, her and her fiance are thinking about in September going to Germany. And I said, hey, if you're going to go to Germany, try to hit the Munich area in late September, early October, because then they can see and enjoy Oktoberfest for what it is, not just the drinking and partying, but just the festivities. And not all of it is drinking and eating. There's all kinds of different festivities. That in fact, if she's in New York, not New York, excuse me, wow, my brain is really going everywhere. If she's in the Munich area, even if she does not go to the Oktoberfest, which they kind of said that they weren't really interested in the Oktoberfest because of the drinking part, just 30 minutes outside of Munich, Germany, is Neuschwanstein and all the different castles that were built in that area of Bavaria, commissioned by King Ludwig, aka the Mad King or the Swan King. It's beautiful territory, beautiful sights. There's a lot of good things about that. But my thing is, I don't feel that I do anything or say anything that should be judged it takes a person who has a very bleak outlook on life to take some of the stuff that I talk about and twist it into something negative. And the only people who can do that is somebody who's so deep in their own despair and negative bleakness would do to another person. I'm guilty of that. Yes, I've done that. And I realized it was wrong, and I asked for forgiveness, and I feel that the blood of Christ has forgiven me for the wrongdoings I did in the past. Now, if you guys want to judge me for the stuff that's on the internet, from this channel, from specifically this channel, not a third party or another group who wants to take bits and pieces of my videos or Jerry Ann's videos and put it on their website for their bleak, nasty, untruthful, misled lives, information, whatever. That's fine and dandy. That's up to them. That man up there, he'll take note of every little thing. And he'll decide if you're worthy of being cleansed of those sins or measure you by those sins. So, yeah. Now I'm going to talk about my opinion of the latest little nastygram that my mom had to write a letter about. My mom put it elegantly. She put it nicely. She was very, very polite with her words, which it must have taken her some strength to hold back on what she probably really, really wanted to say. Because I know my mom, when she gets really pissed off, yeah. Let me just say this much. Astrologically, she's a Scorpio. And when she gets on that rampage, the Scorpio comes out, because she won't hesitate to sting back in her own elegant way of doing things. I'm a Libran. I'll not judge, but I'll weigh my options and think about what I should say before I say it, if I'm not 100% beyond a measure of a doubt gone off the deep end. But this person, low blow, using the memory of my father and his military career to try to say that my father is rolling over in his grave or anything of that nature is a low blow. And knowing my father the way I know my father, yeah, he'd be a little upset about certain things, but he would look at you dead in the face and go, my son is not lazy. My son has issues. My son is a hard worker when he has work to do. Now, he might agree with you on certain things with my wife's attitude and whatnot, but being that she has cancer, my father would be very understanding of her situation and tell her, do what you can, but try your best to do what you can. Don't just spend your whole day laying there because you have nothing better to do. He would try to help her get out of that bed and sit in a chair, or try to get her out to come out to the living room and sit in one of the recliners so she can be at a 30-degree angle and be sociable. But my father would not force her to do something the doctors basically told her not to do. He would weigh the option of do or don't do. And if you do it slowly so you don't cause further damage to your body. But my father would definitely, do his best to get me. He would have done his best to get me into the military. One, I would not have been able to drop out. He would be very, very disappointed in dropping out. But he would be very, very happy that I got my GED 3 weeks after dropping out of high school. The reason why is because, one, my father never finished high school. He dropped out in the middle of 9th grade to help his family out on the family farm up in Bowling Green. My father had more of a street education than a school education. But the thing is, no matter what people would tell him, he would prove you wrong in one way, shape, or form when it comes to his knowledge and his skills and his ability to work hard and push himself. And that pushing himself is what put him in the grave in the first place, between not listening to the doctors and just pushing himself when my mother tried to convince him on the way back to Phoenix the year he passed away after my grandmother's funeral to pull over and go to the VA hospital. When she first started knowing that things were wrong, she tried to convince him to go to the VA hospital in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She tried to get him to go to one of the VA hospitals in Upper Arizona, but he kept on pushing himself to get home, to drive the rest of the way home. And that was the biggest mistake of his life. But the thing is I am 99.9% sure that he is very happy with who I am, who I've become, who I'm still working to become. So saying that my father is rolling over in the grave when, one, you don't know my dad, you never did, and two, to assume you know anything about anybody in this house just makes you look like a bigger jackass than you already have proven to be. But that's enough about that bullshit. I'm going to go into my exiting portion. I had 2 different videos over the last 2 days, but because of issues with our internet service and just my frustration with my phone, those videos did not get put out. In fact, they both got deleted because I needed room on my phone. So I'm going to have to backtrack in the Viking handbook to the beginning of the section that I've already read in the book. And I'm not going to I'm not going to really read any major portion of it right now. I will just briefly, let's put that there, but I will briefly talk about the very beginning of this new section, which is drinking customs. Actually, it's not just drinking customs. This whole section is the social life of the Norsemen. And in the very beginning, it talks about the drinking custom or raising a glass. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing back to you. I'm just going to paraphrase it because we're already past the 30-minute mark. Basically, their drinking customs weren't just everyday things. These drinking customs that they're talking about in this portion is the social aspect of getting together for a drink. And a lot of times it was every little thing had a celebratory, some form of celebration. Birth, hey, let's celebrate the birth of a new child. Marriages celebrated the birth with the marriage, and a lot of drinking. Different holidays or festivities, there was drinking in the mead hall. But the biggest one they talk about in there is when the leader of this particular town, a particular town or tribe, is becoming friendly or making agreements or bonds with a nearby village or somebody important from either from the town or from the next town over, trying to join forces so they can defend their little territory, or joining forces to go on raid parties and whatnot. There was always the customary drinking of mead from a drinking horn. Yes, back then, a lot of the special celebrations, you were not drinking out of mugs, you were drinking out of polished cow horn. And we all know that cow horns are not always straight up and down, or like this. They can curve forward, they can just curve up, they can twist. So drinking out of a mead horn was not only a special custom for special events, but you had to drink everything in that horn before you put it down, because if you were to drink some and try to put the horn down, the mead would spill out, and that's a no-no. That was a big no-no back then, because it was like either A, you could not handle the drink in the first place, or B, you just can't drink. And it was considered a faux pas amongst the Norsemen. So if you were drinking out of a drinking horn instead of a glass, and I wish I had a drinking horn, I really do. And they didn't have stands like they do nowadays. You can buy the drinking horn with a little stand that you can put the horn in and it holds your mead. Back then they didn't have those, so basically you had to drink what was in the horn before you can put it down. But yeah, there was a lot of different special customs or events that had to do with drink. Making agreements, making bonds with a neighboring village, or a let's say you're the Jarl, but there's somebody who could easily take over the ownership of the village, and your best bet to make sure that things are done friendly is to make a agreement and drink to it. And once that has been done, it's like you just signed and sealed an agreement, and you have to keep to it, type thing. That's one of the reasons why a wedding, which is one of the next sections I'm going to read, has what's called a customary bridal ale. Not mead, ale. And the husband and wife were supposed to share, or not share, but they were supposed to take their horn and interlock their arms and drink it down as one of the many ways of sealing or bonding their marriage. In fact, I've already read through the marriage section, and I'm like, oh wow, these customs are interesting, but I know some of them could not be done today, but they could. I can understand the ritual. And And when I go to read that section, I'll tell you all about it. But that is my video for today. And I know I didn't focus all on Mom's letter because of a lot of different reasons. One of the biggest reasons was I wanted to get it out and not focus on it anymore, because I don't want to give this jackanapes any more fuel for his delights. And the only reason why I read it in the first place is because Mom wanted it out. Mom wanted this person to know that she don't care. In fact, all like she said in her letter, this person's words, let alone the material she used to write it, is worth only a match. And what she means by that is to just be put into a fire and use it for fuel for a fire. And also, like she said, she considers this person like classified like a dandelion that needs to be weeded up and tossed out. Since I like Vikings so much, this person who wrote this letter, in the Viking era, if this person was found in the Viking era, would most likely either be blood-eagled or exiled, depending on how Mom felt or what the leading people of the village thought. Because in my mind, this person doesn't deserve the air God gives him to breathe, but I'm not trying to judge him. Maybe I am, and I will be measured by that very thing right there. But the thing is, I don't continue this kind of thing. I try to live a Christian lifestyle. I don't go writing people letters like this. I try not to be like that on here, but obviously this guy is getting a kick of being a jerk off. And I don't even know if this guy, Mom just said madam, because 90% of the viewers on both Jerry and my channel are women. Now, if it wasn't a woman, I apologize to the ladies, but this person knows who they are. And, well, now we go back to the Roman Empire and the Roman times. If this person was a man and she reported it to the local magistrate, and the magistrate found him, especially if it was a man, found him and brings him forth for a legal session or counseling, or however they put it back then. If Mom wanted a servant, Mom could have the guy basically turned into a eunuch, which means castration, and becomes her servant. Pay back his dues. But nowadays it seems like one, sometimes they're harder to catch, and two, it's just kind of like, oh, it's a misdemeanor. No, it's not. Take away his digital devices and make sure he can't watch anything on YouTube again. That's what I say. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a normal, everyday guy who's trying to live out his life and be as positive as possible. But this person wants to try to find ways to drive a wedge into my life, whether it's through my mom or through my wife, and or maybe he's just trying to be a control freak. People like this, I'm no psychiatrist or professional, but something like this makes me go, this guy's got to be a narcissist or something of that accord. But anyhow, I'm done with that. This video was not made for anybody's enjoyment or anything like that. In fact, because of the nature of this video, I'm not even going to monetize it. I'll make a different video for a different day to be monetized. But you know, I don't know. I'll talk to my family and see what they say. But anyhow, you know what to do down here. Thumbs up, thumbs down, question, comments. Hopefully it's positive if possible. And if you're new to my channel and want to join, you can. You don't have to. I would appreciate it though. But your choice. And if you do, click the subscribe button, a little bell will pop up, and you click on that bell so YouTube will let you know when my next video comes out. Until then, see you guys later. Bye.